everybody. Welcome to Grad Stories. So excited you are here to join us this evening. My name is Michelle Dittmer, and I am the founder of the Canadian Gap Year Association. So I have the honor of being your moderator this evening. I'm so excited you have come to join us to learn a little bit more about the many and diverse pathways that are out there for your plans after graduating high school. So welcome to parents, to students, to educators, and to all those of you who are watching this on the recording. We're so glad you're here. There is an incredible panel of young people here today to share a little bit about their journey. So we didn't bring in experts in the field. We didn't bring in people trying to sell you anything. We brought to you people who have lived experiences with these pathways. These are your peers that have some insight to share with you today. So I'm super, super stoked to have them here. And I'm even more stoked that you guys are tuning in to learn a little bit more about these pathways. Now, before we get started, would love to do a land acknowledgement, and this is always a really special thing for me as a woman of mixed ancestry. I am a member of the Huron-Wendat First Nations, as well as I have a lot of British and European ancestry as well. So I really take this opportunity to heart to acknowledge, as partial settler, as a lot of us are on Turtle Island here, and acknowledging all of the First Nations, Métis and Inuit that have stewarded this land for so long, and not only appreciating their stewardship, but also recognizing the hardships that were brought about through the settlers that came through, and a lot of the destruction that we've seen of Indigenous culture, Indigenous land, and Indigenous ways of being. And not only are we benefiting from some of the atrocities that have happened from these young people, or from these Indigenous people, as well as what's going on right now, we still have so much to learn. So it's with a very humble heart that I acknowledge where I am tuning in from today is the traditional territories of the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and many, many other First Nations people. So I want to acknowledge that from a very, very special place in my heart. And I would encourage you as well, wherever you are tuning in from today, to check out and learn a little bit more about the people that, or the land that you are on, and which traditional territories you are residing or working on. So you can do that through many, many different apps. There are tons of resources out there, and I really encourage you to take an active part in truth and reconciliation. And a small way that we can do that is stepping up and learning a little bit about the history of our lands. And so thank you to all of the Indigenous people that have done so much. And I acknowledge that there's still so much work to be done here. Now, back to the topic at hand. And a lot of the things that we are going to be talking about today is that transition out of high school and making decisions for whatever your next steps may look like. And that process by itself is very stressful, overwhelming, and it can really feel like the biggest decision that you have to make in your life, because it could set you on a really great path, or it could set you up for challenges, or so we're told. And sometimes we also hear unbalanced versions of what you should be doing. And I'm going to say should in quotation marks, what you should be doing after high school. And a lot of the time we get a lot of information on university and college pathways. But what we're here to share with you today is that those aren't the only two pathways you can take after graduation. There is so much more out there, and college and university isn't necessarily the best choice for everyone. So we want to make sure that you have enough information, or at least understand that there are other things that are out there for you as well. And again, these panelists are here to share their lived experience about just some of the pathways that are out there. So over the last little bit, the government of New Brunswick, their Education and Early Childhood Development Department, the Canadian Career Development Foundation, and the Canadian Gap Year Association, we've come together to put together a stellar panel for you of some incredible youth that are here to really share their experience and give you lots more information. A huge thank you right now to International Experience Canada, who funded this initiative and also recognizes how important it is that young people are exposed to different opportunities that are before them. So really, really excited to be here. So let's just do a little bit of housekeeping first. Here's the plan. We've got about 45 minutes with our panelists, so we will have a really, really great discussion. This is unscripted. We've met once before, but there are no programmed answers. Everything here is off the fly. We're going to have a great conversation. If you do have questions, please feel free to pop them into the chat, and we will try and field some of those questions if they integrate into the conversation. Now, if your question doesn't get answered, or if you are too nervous to type it into the chat, please feel free to join us after the stage chat on in the session. So you'll see over on the left-hand side that there's a little navigation pane. So there's the main stage, which is where you are right now, if you can hear me. And there is also something called sessions. So as soon as this panel is over, our panelists are going to head into breakout rooms, and you can go and ask them one-on-one all of the different questions that you may have. And the last thing that you'll see over on that left-hand panel is something that says Expo. That's the last one down at the bottom. And the Expo is filled with booths of different opportunities. So you can learn more about International Experience Canada. You can learn more about the Gap Year pathway. You can learn about Katimavik. You can learn about the armed forces. There are so many different things that are in that Expo. So I really encourage you to pop by after you've gotten all your questions answered and poke around in there. There's a button at the very bottom on the right hand side in those booths that says request more information or get more information by email. And if you click that, what will happen is that organization will receive your contact information, and they'll be able to reach out to you to provide you with additional information. So if something seems interesting to you and you'd like to get more information, that really is the fastest way to be able to do that. So really, really excited that you're here. Now to get you guys a little bit warmed up, I'd love if you could pop into the comments and let us know where you're tuning in from today. I think it's really interesting. Although we focused on New Brunswick, there was lots of interest coming in from other provinces as well. So if you could pop into the chat, let us know where you're tuning in from today. That would be just so fascinating to see. So don't be a stranger. Pop that in the chat. And while you guys are doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop all of our panelists right into the session right now. So we will bring them in. Here they come. So many friendly faces. We're so excited that everybody is here. So as you can see, we've got this fantastic panel, and we are going to start off with some introductions so that people know who is here, what's going on. I'm going to let Meagan in. She's going to get her camera up and running. There we go. So we've got, oh my goodness, look at all of these wonderful places. PEI, Alberta, New Brunswick, Moncton. Oh my goodness. You guys are coming in from everywhere. I love it. Coast to coast almost. If we get somebody from BC, then we can really say that we've done coast to coast. So thank you for popping in there. It's so lovely to see you. Oh, Ottawa as well. Hey, Serena. So nice to see you. I love the engagement. So if you have questions, do pop them in there and we can hopefully answer them as well. So I'm going to ask each one of these folks to introduce themselves and give us a very quick little synopsis of what pathway they are representing today. So let's start with Reyan. You started with the Skills Launch program. So maybe you can tell us just the quick, maybe 1-minute version of what the Skills Launch program is all about. You got to unmute yourself. Reyan, we can't hear you. You got to unmute yourself. Yeah, it's always going to happen. Go for it.
Hello, my name is Reyan Abdelwase. I'm from Sudan and I joined to Skills Launch at May 17. My experience at Skills Launch, it was like full of knowledge. I really learned a lot of skills and a lot of Canadian culture. And Skills Launch is program prepare you to the workplace.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's such a wonderful program. And they do have information in a booth. So I believe the program is specific for immigrants and refugees. Is that true, Reyan?
Yes.
Perfect. So if we've got folks joining in today or watching the recording that are immigrants and or refugees, incredible program to really get you integrated and to support you in that transition into the workplace. So awesome. So that's one pathway that's represented here. Olivia, do you want to share a little bit about the pathway that you took after high school?
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Olivia. I'm from Moncton. I went to École de Doucet in Moncton. And after graduating high school, I decided to become a part of the national organization called Katimavik. It's been around for a really long time, actually. Some of your parents, even if you have younger grandparents, they might know what it is. Unfortunately, it has always been something that came and then got taken away and stuff, but now it's back, which is great. So the program kind of takes you away on an adventure for about 6 months, where you get to discover 2 different cities in 2 different provinces, and you live with 12 other people, and you volunteer all around the town and the whereabouts. And it also has a great focus on truth and reconciliation within the Indigenous people of Turtle Island.
Amazing. So again, an incredible opportunity if you want to kind of push pause on your formal education, or you're not sure what you want to do, or you are up for an adventure. Katimavik is an incredible organization that helps Canadians connect with the country, connect with other people, and get a little bit of perspective and connect with different ideas. So super, super cool. Really great way to spend your gap year if you are taking a year off. Katimavik is a great way to do that. They also have a booth in the expo. So if Olivia doesn't answer all of your questions, you can go check that out. Maybe we'll jump over to Meagan. Meagan, can you share a little bit about your pathway?
Hi, everyone. My name is Meagan. I'm from Dittmer, Brunswick, but currently I live in Wainwright, Alberta. So what I did, I enrolled in the Canadian Armed Forces when I was still in high school. I was in 11th grade when I joined. And then I did 11th grade, 12th grade, and then I put in my component transfer. So that means that I have transferred to the regular forces now. And I've been in the regular forces for about 2 months, and that's why I am in Wainwright. I moved to Wainwright. I got posted here in Alberta. So feel free to ask me any questions. I will be glad to answer them. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Meagan. So I think it's fantastic to have that pathway explored in this conversation as well. There are so many incredible opportunities within the Canadian Armed Forces. No matter what your interests are, there's lots of really great ways to engage with that pathway and explore so many of your different strengths and skills while supporting our armed forces. So thanks for being here, Meagan. We're down to 2. Maybe we'll jump up to Janice. Do you want to share your pathway?
Yeah, for sure. Hi, I'm Janice. I am from just outside of Halifax in Nova Scotia. I did go to university after high school, but I ended up taking off 2 semesters to travel and work abroad. I'm here tonight as a youth ambassador with International Experience Canada, and I am more than happy to answer any questions. Traveling and working abroad is always a great opportunity, whether that's right after high school or during university and college or after university and college. There's so many opportunities out there.
Amazing. Thanks, Janice. Yeah, I think sometimes we maybe put ourselves in too small of a box when we're thinking about what the workforce might look like, or what a gap year might look like, or what are we going to do even on our summers after, in between years of school. There's so many opportunities to gain those global competencies and that exposure and immerse yourself in a new culture by going and actually earning money abroad. So glad you're here to share that perspective today, Janice. And that leaves one more on our lovely board here. So Nick, can you share a little bit about what you did?
Yeah, for sure. Hey guys. So I never really liked school much, but I know I loved business. So after high school, I decided to do a lot of random jobs, as well as freelance social media marketing. And then I saved up enough to buy my first investment property, and then I just kind of stuck with that, never looked back. But yeah.
Yeah, so we have an entrepreneur in our midst today, and I think it's really great to hear that perspective. Like, school is not for everyone, and there are so many opportunities where you can jump in and flex different muscles, and clearly Nick is a great example of that, of finding a new pathway that is unique to you and uses your strengths, and can still be very interesting and profitable, and lead to a really, really great life. So I'm going to put the first question out there. But again, if you out there in the audience have questions, please pop them into the chat. So we're going to start with something pretty simple. And I'm going to ask Meagan, I'm going to start with you with this question. So what does a day in the life look like for you? What does that look like? What does that feel like? Would love to know, so people can get a little more clarity on maybe if this pathway might be a good fit for them.
Yeah, definitely. So I work in finance in the Army. There are different trades that do different kinds of jobs, especially in the regular forces. There's a job for literally everyone. I do a lot of finances. So what I do is I mainly, members of the Canadian Armed Forces can claim a lot of advantages, a lot of money. Like we can reimburse them for certain things if they buy them, stuff like that. So that's a day in my life. I do a lot of budgeting also, mostly office work. But like I said, there are tons of other trades for other people. There's infantry, which is a little bit more in the field. There's armored, which is with the tanks. It's a very wide variety of jobs that you can definitely find one that's for you.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point, because sometimes when we think military, we think like combat uniforms, out in the field, out overseas, like the front lines in defense. And really, in order for our military to function, we need mechanics to work on all of the equipment. We need people in finance. We need people in the medical fields. And so if you're thinking military, you don't have to think necessarily frontline. There are so many other different ways that you can use your strengths to support in this way. And I think that that's a really great story for us to be able to share, that no matter what skills you can bring to the table, the military probably has a spot for you where you can really, where you can shine and you can continue to learn and grow. And so you were able to use your finance skills and to learn that role as well, and then be able to apply it. So great story. Thank you. And maybe we'll ask Olivia as well. So a day in the life of your time at Katimavik, what did that look and feel like?
So not gonna lie, when you first get to Katimavik, it can be a little crazy, a little, what is gonna happen? I have no idea where it's gonna start. For me, I was in Quebec and then I went to Calgary, both around 3 months. So I was in bigger cities, but people are placed kind of all over Canada, so you don't necessarily get a big city. And come with a big city is a good public transport system. So that was an advantage that I have. But basically, 4 days a week, you wake and then you head to wherever you're volunteering, and there's a place for everyone. Everyone kind of gets interviewed and interviews the nonprofit organization as well. And there's something for everyone. I, in Quebec, worked at a child center, and in Calgary, I worked at a domestic violence center for women. And then, yeah, so I woke up in the morning. I'd head there around 8, spent my whole day there until 5 probably, came back home. We had people who stayed at home. You kind of alternated every week or so with different groups. And they made dinner for everyone, and they cleaned the house when they didn't go volunteer. We had dinner as a Katimavik family. That was a big thing because it's kind of where you talked about everything, I guess. And then after dinner, usually we'd go volunteer. The program also has for a goal to teach people their second language. So if you don't know French, you learn French. If you don't know English, you learn English. So that would happen once a week for the people who needed it. But other than that, you'd go volunteer within the community as a group and not just as an individual in your organization. Then you came back home and you kind of did whatever you wanted with your free time. You come really close with your housemates. Like, they're my best friends, my second family. I miss them so much. And then you go to bed and it repeats itself the next day.
So no downtime, that's for sure. And I think it's really great to hear this story because there are so many skills I heard you talk about in that experience, from like getting the hands-on experience volunteering, to learning a second language, to learning how to become independent or how to live with other people. Like, that's a huge life skill that you were able to develop over the course of this, and communication and cooperation and collaboration and exploring different volunteer placements. These are all things, like, if you put those on a resume, like check, that can really help you find clarity in what direction you want to go, as well as building those foundational skills that will really open a lot of doors for you. So thanks for sharing that. And we do have a latecomer joining. So Bryden, do you want to actually give everybody a little bit of insight into what pathway you took after high school? Because I'm going to probably be coming at you with a question. People probably want to know what I'm going to be asking you. So let us know, where did you do?
I graduated and I was confused on what I wanted to do. And I went to college, and it was civil engineering technology. And I went a year and a half through it, and I only had a half a year left. So it wasn't that far away. It wasn't that far-fetched for me. I could have finished. I could have done it all, but it just wasn't for me. I didn't want to sit in an office all day or have the discussions I was going to have or see the people I was going to see. So I dropped out and I continued working for my father as a carpenter, and I loved it. It's awesome. I meet a ton of people. I talk to a bunch of tradespersons, and it's super busy. It's been always busy. I'm learning a ton of hands-on skills, and it feels good. I like my job. I like waking up. I like going to work. It doesn't feel exhausting to me, other than my back and my legs. Other than that, it's pretty great. It's I'm not sitting in an office chair all day, so it's exciting for me. My job's great.
Yeah, I love that you speak to alignment, because you were in something and it didn't feel right. And I think sometimes we're forced to think a certain way that we should be doing something. And so you had the courage to say, no, this doesn't feel right. I'm not on the right track. And you stepped into something that now feels really good on a daily basis. And you're well compensated for your work, and you are using your skills, and you are learning so many things. And so kudos to you for having that recognition and for making that adjustment on your course. I think that's super cool. So I'm going to come to you, Nick. How did you know that this pathway, the entrepreneurship pathway, was kind of the way you should be heading? What tipped you off in that direction?
I've always loved business and did a lot of business type of stuff, I guess. My family is very heavily into this type of business, but I don't really like authority too much, and I've never liked having a boss, so I knew that was kind of out of the question. So I just kind of had to do my own thing. Both my parents are in finance and marketing, and my grandmother owns her own business as well. So I guess it's kind of in my blood, I guess. But
yeah, and I think you also had some role models to be able to base your pathway off of, to have seen somebody take those risks and put themselves out there, and having those conversations or finding those role models or connecting with people who have taken that pathway before you can be so valuable, that you get some real life stories like what we're sharing today of people who've been there and done that. And I think that that can give you the confidence to pursue those things. So if you are out there watching and you are considering a different pathway, make sure you're connecting with somebody and having those conversations so you can learn a little bit from their experience.
absolutely. Just to add on, somebody that wasn't in my family, Keith Brito, the guy that owns Historica in St. John, I just kind of reached out to him and kind of bugged him a little bit till he took a meeting with me, and he's been a great help in my progress. So it's a great community, especially a small town.
For sure. And having the confidence to just reach out. Like, you will be amazed how many people will say yes. We're always scared of those no's, and you may send out 10 things and you may get back 7 no's, but those like 3 yeses are like gold and diamonds, and they're worth so much. So you got to be prepared for those types of things. So I'm going to go with you too, Bryden. How did you know that, like, what was that feeling, or what was the thing that really indicated that you needed to head into the trades?
I've always used my hands, and I've always just been a super outdoors person. So yeah, it was just second nature to me, I believe. And it feels good. Honestly, it feels good to know that I want to be in a trade, and I want to push people that are good with their hands and know that they're capable of working every single day to do it, and not just follow along with natural, go to college and do all the stuff you don't want to do. Just be yourself and go be a tradesperson. And that's what I did. So here I am.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay, my next question is going to be for Reyan and for Janice. And the question is, I'm going to give them a heads up here, is what has been, 1, the best thing, and 2, the hardest thing about the pathway that you've chosen? So what was the best, and then what was the biggest challenge? So we'll start with you, Reyan.
Okay, the best thing that I get support, like Skills One support me, and as you know, I have a child. They support me with the daycare. Like, I'm free to study, to to continue my my study, and to know more, to study more, to explore. So that was the best thing, because I was worried about my son, and they always supporting me, and they always, Reyan, you can do it. Reyan, you are amazing. Reyan, they always give me those beautiful and amazing words to support me, and yeah.
And what was the most challenging?
The most challenging, it's to balance between skills launch, because skills launch was studying and program at, we have 1 month program at MBCC, and do homework. And as you know, I'm a mom and I have a home. I have to take care of my husband, take care of my son, take care of myself. So it was a little bit challenging to balance between those two, but I make it.
Yeah, no, you're doing a wonderful job, and you've even found a career direction. I believe you did a placement in a daycare. Yes. And now you're going to be pursuing your ECE education. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, those placements, again, like having a mentor, can be so valuable, where you get out into the field and you try something out, and they can give you a push to say, yes, this is something I want to do. This is worth studying some more, or you know what, this isn't for me. I got to try something else. So I'm glad that you connected with something that that you've become passionate about and will be your career. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Okay, coming over to you, Janice. What is the best and the hardest, or the most challenging part of working abroad?
Yeah, for sure. I think I'll start with the most challenging. I think for me, I was already in university when I decided to take time off to work abroad. So leaving and doing something sort of different from everyone else, especially because I was in a small program, so that meant I was going to be graduating a year later than all of my friends and my classmates. I think that was the most challenging part, just feeling like it was going to like set me back in some way or something like that. And on the flip side, I think the best part was just all the experiences I got from living and working abroad, from being able to travel, meet new people, experience a new culture. And I think that in the end, it actually gave me so many skills, kind of like you said earlier, effective communication from I lived in France, so I was communicating in my second language all the time. Leadership, definitely like all the sort of like soft skills of like problem solving just from living abroad and being on your own and having to figure things out. So I think in the end, it actually put me ahead in some ways, despite the fact that I ended up, graduating later and all of those things. So that was definitely the best part.
And challenging?
Sorry, the challenging part was just sort of doing something different. Than expected. Yeah, for sure.
And I want to touch on that a little bit, this idea of being behind, because I hear this a lot, that there's this concern of being behind people, whether you're taking a break before going into education or you're taking a different pathway, and we feel that everybody is moving ahead and we're not moving ahead sometimes, or we feel like we're not moving ahead. But as you said, often those experiences leapfrog us ahead of a lot of our peers. So Nick's already got a career. Like some of his peers, your peers are probably still studying something, and you've got a full-blown career. And Reyan, you did all of that like extra work as part of Skills Launch, but you have found a career that suits you, and you know what direction you want to head, where some people might be floundering for a lot longer than that. And Meagan, you as well, you're right into a career that works for you. So this idea of being behind is totally made up. And we just sometimes have to get over that and kind of move forward. So great stories, great sharing. The next question is going to be for everyone. And while I'm asking this question and our panelists are answering them, if you have questions, pop them in the chat. We'd love to be able to answer some of them from the audience. So I want to know what was most surprising about the pathway you chose. So what was the piece that maybe was the most unexpected, or maybe like society tells you one thing, but it's actually something completely different. So what is the thing that was most surprising about the pathway that you took? We'll go across the bottom and kind of go counterclockwise. I'm not sure if everybody's seeing the same thing. So we'll start with Bryden.
The most surprising would most definitely be, I'm not sure if this is with a pathway or just the way life is, but time itself, it's just gone completely. And like I show up to work every single day and I work with my employees and we just do a bunch of work, and then 2 weeks later it's completely done, and that's massive, and it's awesome. And it slips away from me sometimes how time moves so fast. I don't think about it sometimes, and then I realize when I'm at work or I finish this job, it's like, wow, I'm moving on to the next thing, and time has just slipped away from me. So that's the most surprising thing, how high school time drags on so long for me. It dragged on so long, and I couldn't find the meaning of it. But now that I found a pathway and I chose a pathway, I feel like it's slipping away from me.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's in a lot of the research, it's called being in a state of flow, where you're just in your zone of genius and you're using all of your strengths and you're enjoying the work that you're doing, that it doesn't feel like you have to slug through it. So when you're in that state of flow, it's such a powerful place to be, and you know you're on the right path. So I'm glad that you were able to get out of the grind of something that wasn't working for you, and then finding so easily that state of flow, which is super, super cool. Meagan, what was the most surprising for you?
Well, I think my whole path in general was surprising to me. So when I was in basic training I just finished 11th grade, I wasn't expecting to, I knew I wanted to go into the regular forces, so work full-time in the Canadian Armed Forces, but I wasn't, I was sure I was going to go a totally different trade than what I am now, so a totally different job than finance than what I am now. But I continue to work towards finance, and I absolutely adore it. And I get to see so many great parts of the country, so many great things. I get to meet so many people. The friends I've made, they're lifelong friends. So it's truly, truly amazing. I did not think I would end up here at all in Alberta, but here I am, and I absolutely love it.
That's amazing. And sometimes life is about discovering things along the way and following those little signs or those opportunities that present themselves, and just figuring it out. Not everybody, I should say, has a final destination in mind, and even fewer people end up at that initial final destination that they thought they would start with. So I think you have real lived experience that's backed up with all the statistics out there. So thanks for sharing. Reyan, what's most surprising about your pathway? Hold on, you got to unmute yourself.
I'm sorry for that. The most surprising thing was I was but my plan, this thing I will do it, this thing for future, this thing for I will go step by step. And the most challenging thing was I wanna go to college, and with money, do I have to work and save money? Do a student loan? I was thinking about that, but Skills Launch said to me, "Here you go. We will support you. We will pay up to 70% of your college, your college program that you choose, if it's college or university, and we will support you, and we will offer daycare for your child." And it was it was amazing thing. And I was thinking about that, how I'm gonna apply to college, what do I have to do, how I'm gonna you understand me, right? And when the Skills Launch says that to me, I was, oh my goodness, because I wasn't expect that. It was surprise for me, a big surprise. And I said, okay, all you have, Reyan, focus for your goal, achieve your goal, and go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I think that's a really great
Yes.
example of all of the supports that are out there. And I think what a lot of people don't know is that there are so many different opportunities, whether it is for funding or training or other opportunities, whether it's the trades or the military, or for immigrants and refugees, or for women in STEM or women in technology. There are so many resources out there that you just got to do a little research and get get connected with the career professionals around you. And all of a sudden you may find like 70% of your tuition is covered because of those amazing supports that are out there. So I think you have to do a little bit of work and a little bit of research and talk to as many people as you can, because they are out there, and they can make dreams come true, and they can make things a little bit more accessible. So great point. Great surprise.
Yes.
Nick, what about you? What was surprising about the entrepreneurial pathway?
I guess how popular it's become, because I know when my parents were kids, it was kind of weird, especially how many like people are, I don't want to be rude, but just kind of like fake about it, and then like a new style, like pyramid scheme almost, which I'm sure everyone with social medias had seen that stuff, like buy my course now, and they've never really done anything yet. So it's definitely weird to navigate that and see that. A lot of people don't really have a passion for it anymore. But it's amazing if you do. So I just think you need to know, a little bit about yourself before you get into it. But that's about it, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's really great insight, that you need to know what your strengths are. You need to know what your motivators are. And do you really have a passion to be an entrepreneur? Because it becomes your whole life. It really is. You are the start and the stop of everything. And you need to really be sure that you're going to dig in the right way and talk to the right people. And there are tons of supports out there for young people starting businesses that will help you to weed through some of those things that look really shiny and tempting, but maybe not the right path for you in entrepreneurship. So lots of resources out there. If you do want to start a business, just jump on Google, see what's available in your local area, and get those business plans going and float it by some people before you jump in too far. So thanks for sharing that, Nick. Janice, what about you? What was most surprising about your pathway?
I think the most surprising thing for me, and maybe just like a reflection in general, is that it feels so often like formal education, like university or college, is the only option. I know I came from a small community, and that was definitely like very heavily valued. And so I think what was surprising to me is getting out into the world and realizing there are so many people pursuing different options. And even though at the start it can kind of feel like you're alone a little bit, you're definitely not. And there's, again, so many opportunities and so many resources, like you said, once you get out there.
Yeah, amazing. I'm gonna do this. So totally agree with that. Because again, there's this really strong social narrative around what everybody is doing, and the more diverse opportunities you have on your resume, the more unique you are, the more diverse in skills that you can bring to the table, the more opportunities present themselves. So if you just have your formal schooling and nothing outside of that, versus somebody who has had such diverse experience, worked somewhere around the world, started a business, did a program like Skills Launch, all of those things add up, and really make you a really great candidate for a career, or launching your own business, or moving into the military. Whatever your pathway of choice is, that diversity of experience is so valuable. And Olivia, we're going to swing back down to you. What was the most surprising thing about Katimavik?
I guess for me, it would just be like the experience in general and what it brought to me, I guess, during and after the program. I started Katimavik not knowing what it was at all. I remember taking the plane from Moncton and then going to Quebec, so nervous, like I didn't feel like eating anything. I didn't know what to expect. Thankfully, now they like do give like a better explanation as to what the program is before you do enter it. I was about to go live with 12 strangers. I didn't know any of these people, but keep in mind, everyone who did apply for Katimavik, you will have something in common with them, because you both have like that sense of adventure and the readiness to jump into something new. And then the people I met along the way, I met people who did Katimavik 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, who all have so much love for the program. I was a part of different Indigenous ceremonies. I went to sweat ceremonies where we even had an elder who held one just for our Katimavik group, which was absolutely amazing. And I've never thought I would ever get that opportunity, or even knew what that opportunity was beforehand. I went to amazing conferences. I volunteered at amazing things. And yes, you're super, super duper busy, but you have a voice, and that's important to vocalize it. And you can say like, hold on, let's chill for a night. Let's go to bed earlier, watch a movie together. And you become a second family with these people. And now that I'm back home, and I've been back home since December of 2019. Well, now I do live in Fredericton to go to school. But as soon as I got back, I had so many people asking me to talk about Katimavik. I went back to my school at Doucet and I did presentations. I helped out other people. I've talked on the radio about it, all these different types of things. So really Katimavik it'll be with you forever. And it's the greatest experience I could have asked for. And it brought me so much knowledge about our land, but also so many skills that I still use and love to use to this day.
I love it. I love it. And as you can see, like everybody here has been on such a unique journey. They have taken up all sorts of different pathways and experiences. And I think it's fair to say they've all turned out okay. I don't know. They seem like pretty good people. So it's just so great to have you guys here. And I want you in 10 seconds or less, we're going to go rapid fire here. We're going to go the other way. So we're going to start with Janice and go around the other way. What is your top tip or advice for somebody in grade 11 or 12 right now? So what is your top tip that you would give based on what you've experienced? So go ahead, Janice.
Don't be afraid to do something different.
Amazing. Love it. Nick, what's your top tip?
Yeah, I just say try everything that even remotely interests you.
Love it. Reyan.
Don't stop your dream and keep going and do your best to achieve your goals.
Love it. Thank you. Meagan.
Just take your time for decisions. No one's rushing you. There's no deadline for anything. Take your time.
Amazing. Bryden.
Never be afraid to ask questions.
Wise. Olivia.
Apply yourself and make what you believe and be heard.
Amazing. You guys are so incredibly inspirational. I think those wise words at the end will sit with people for a long time. So before I let you go off to your breakout rooms, and I'll give you guys the link backstage in a second, I wanted to thank each and every one of you for sharing your stories and for taking all of those things that you've learned on your journey to share it with all of the folks here and watching the recording. So if you guys could show some love in the comments for these guys and gals. They have just been so incredible in sharing their time and their energy and their experience with us. So huge thank you to you guys. I'm going to pop you out and just do some housekeeping items, and then we will get everybody on their way. So stick around in the backstage. Don't go anywhere. We'll just get rid of you guys, and then I'll give you where you guys are headed in a second. Wonderful to have you guys all here. Thank you so much for coming. Huge thank you to International Experience Canada for supporting this initiative. Really grateful to them for making this all possible. Just a review on what next steps are. So in about 3 or 4 minutes, all of our panelists are going to move to the sessions. So if you look over on the left-hand panel, there's something that's called sessions. And each of these panelists will be in their own room. So it will say their pathway and then their name. So if you can't remember what pathway they were, you can use their name or vice versa. And you can jump into those panels and ask any questions that you didn't get a chance to answer here on the main stage. So they will be there for about half an hour. The booths will also be open. So if you want to follow up with some of these programs, get more information, and there's some additional travel programs, bursaries, things like that. There's tons of booths for you to check out. So all of that is there for you to get more information. We really want to make this evening very valuable for you. And so they will be there for the next half hour. I will also be in a booth on the gap year pathway. So if you're curious to understand a little bit more about a gap year in general, I will be in there sharing information for the next half hour as well. So again, a huge thank you to everybody for coming out tonight. And we hope you got some answers to your questions. And if you didn't, please head to those booths, and thank you for coming, and we will talk soon. Take care. Oh, one more thing. You will be getting some emails with some additional resources coming out in the next couple of days. And once the recording is live, we will post it so you can share it with anybody who you feel might benefit from getting some of this information and some of the links that are associated with all the various pathways. So again, on behalf of CCDF, on behalf of GNB, and on behalf of the Canadian Gap Year Association, thank you for coming, and we'll see you in those sessions in a couple of minutes. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.